on a safety alert in Davie, and this has to do with that martial arts instructor arrested for allegedly molesting some of his students.
Cosme coming out of this precinct station house looking up until he sees news cameras. Prosecutors say he used 4 girls over the past 2 months.
In North Phoenix, where a martial arts instructor has been arrested, accused of 25-year-old Yang Jing Jung, several counts of child molestation and indecent.
Bars after detectives say he was soliciting sex from his teenage students.
Dark secrets emerging right now at 11. Investigators revealing a martial arts instructor's devious past of having sex with an underage student.
Breaking news now at 5. A San Antonio jiu-jitsu instructor being accused of sexually assaulting a child. 40-year-old Joseph Caballero over the weekend and is currently out on bond.
Devastating. Absolutely devastating. Since his arrest Thursday, Cleon Self has been locked up in the Cleveland County Jail.
What all these instructors have in common, because they're different styles, different martial arts, one commonality in all these cases is that they were trusted enough to be in that position that they took advantage of.
Attempted to have sex with her one day when her mom dropped her off early for class.
Martial arts can be an incredible way to build discipline, confidence, and learn how to defend yourself. But today we're going to talk about the dark side of martial arts and why it doesn't get enough attention and why you need to be cautious with the coaches that train you and your kids. Now let's go. It's easy to walk into a martial arts school and assume that every coach or every instructor has the best intentions possible, and many do. After all, you're teaching people how to gain confidence, how to stand up for themselves, how to fight for themselves. So you believe that everybody that's in that environment would stand for those virtues. But as many recent cases have shown, that is not the case. But time after time, we have more and more stories of students being taken advantage of by the instructors or coaches, and it's something serious that we should definitely take a second to talk about. And after being in martial arts for over 20 years, and for coaching and teaching many of those years, the tricky thing about martial arts is that the relationship that is developed between instructor and student is one that's built on trust. We give the instructors a lot of gravitas, right? They have a lot of pull. They give them a lot of authority in our lives. And being on the inside as an instructor over the years, I can tell you story after story of guys that have ruined their lives, instructors that have ruined their lives. Part of the problem here is that the relationship between martial arts instructor and student and parent is significantly different than most other relationships that you will develop. So more so than the soccer coach, baseball coach, or anything like that. One that is built on trust. So not only are you coming to this person as a professional to, help you learn self-defense, to get in shape, whatever that cause is, you also put your safety and your child's safety in their hand. So that takes a lot of trust and rapport to get to that point. And now, unfortunately, after being in martial arts over 20 years, I can tell you that there are many instructors that are fantastic, right? There are ones that you don't want to associate with, or you definitely don't want your kids to associate with. Martial arts is not the exception from life. It's like any other endeavor. You're going to have people that are out there hustling, doing the best that they can, trying to make others better, but you're always going to have a percentage of those that take advantage of their position. Unfortunately, martial arts, like many other industries, isn't immune to predators and unethical individuals.
Well, Joe De Silva was arrested on Tuesday for lewd and lascivious behavior and on minors.
So let's break down why this happens and what you can do to protect yourself and your loved ones. Martial arts instructors often hold an almost revered position in their training schools. They're seen as mentors, role models, and even parental figures. This creates a significant power dynamic where students, especially younger ones, feel compelled to obey without question. This isn't inherently bad. It's part of what makes martial arts great for personal growth, but also means bad actors can exploit that trust and respect. So how do you recognize that something isn't right? Let's take a look at some warning signs. So the first one is inappropriate behavior or comments. Coaches should always maintain professionalism. If a coach makes personal, inappropriate, or overly familiar comments to students or parents, that's a red flag. 2, isolation tactics. So does the coach discourage parents from watching the class? Do they insist on private lessons without clear justification? Isolation can be a way to hide inappropriate behavior. 3, lack of transparency. If the school isn't open about their policies, their certifications, or even pricing, that's another cause for concern. You want to be with an organization that transparency is part of their foundation. And 4 is favoritism. Showing excessive favoritism to certain students while ignoring others can create an unhealthy environment for everybody involved. And with this, I can relay a personal story about these warning signs. So years ago, I had a young lady start to train with me. She was probably about 13 or 14 at the time, and she was a dancer. She found us online, and this is the decision she made on her own. She wanted to do Krav Maga because she wanted to go to the FBI. So she wanted to build a base of combatives that she could take into her law enforcement training as she went through high school and then college, and then she went to a BLET program. But she knew what she wanted from day one. I insisted for the first few months, like, hey, I'd rather you stay while we're running these sessions, especially because there were times where there'd be nobody else in the building. I didn't even want the perception of impropriety. So I insisted that their parents please stay with us as we're running through the sessions, so it is harder for there to be that availability, right, or the perception of that there's a risk. I wanted her parents to know I'm not trying to separate her. I'm not trying to, draw her away. I'm not trying to do anything appropriate. I always communicated a message through the parents directly, always encourage them to stay with us as we ran through the sessions, because I want to make sure that there is transparency with our training. Now, as a parent, there are things that you can do to vet the environment that you're going to be in or that your child is going to be in. So one is stay involved. Attend classes regularly, or at least check in often. A reputable coach will welcome your presence. Don't hesitate to ask about the coach's background, certifications, what their gym policies are. For instance, a good one to ask is, if you have a student misbehave, what is their policy on removing students from the classroom? Because you don't want your child to be stuck in there with somebody that's misbehaving. Or if you're taking jiu-jitsu, for instance, you don't want to be partnered up with that guy that consistently hurts people. So how do they address problem students? That's what you want to find out. And if they get defensive about it, that in itself is a red flag. 3, teach your kids boundaries. Make sure your kids know that they can talk to you about anything that makes them uncomfortable. And this is not something that happens right before they start training. Hopefully this is something that's occurred long before you ever step on the mats, but you're just reinforcing it as you go, so they know that they have personal boundaries that they can reflect on, and they can come to you if they feel those boundaries have been violated. Number 4, trust your gut. Your gut has wisdom. If something feels off, don't ignore it. Instincts are there for a reason. This advice isn't just for parents. It applies to adults too. As a student, we're putting ourselves in vulnerable positions on the mat. Here's what you should watch for. An instructor should foster a respectful training environment. Bullying, favoritism, or unnecessary aggressions are signs of a toxic coach. And if you have students that are overly aggressive or toxic, that still falls back to the coach, since they set the atmosphere for the gym. Next is check their credentials. Research the coach's lineage and background. Are they legitimate, or are they just claiming to be? Now, keep in mind that lineage does not mean everything, but it can be a good indicator of the training methodology that this person has used. Or did this guy just throw in a black belt from Amazon and decide he wanted to start teaching one day?
This is a tackle. That's a grapple right there. This is a tackle. That's a grapple. There we go.
Next is community reputation. Look, ask around, talk to somebody that's trained with him before, or check online reviews. The martial arts community is pretty small, so generally word travels fast about an instructor. So I can talk from firsthand experience. Another quick little story, we had a gentleman who used to train in our organization, not in our gym, but actually part of our organization that was on another part of the state. Long story short, he ended up having kind of a fling with one of his students, and then once word got out about this, the guy lost everything. School shut down. Nobody wanted to train with him. So you have to understand the martial arts community is a small community. Once parents and coaches and teachers find out, then there's got to be news out there. Lastly is speak up. If you feel uncomfortable, don't be afraid to bring it up. Whether it's with the instructor, the owner, or even fellow students, silence enables bad behavior. Speak up for yourself. Look, it's important to remember that the vast majority of martial arts coaches are dedicated, ethical individuals who generally want to help others grow. But that doesn't mean that we should let our guard down, right? Trust but verify. By staying vigilant, asking questions, and fostering open communication, we can create safer spaces for everyone to learn and to grow. Martial arts should empower, not exploit. So if there's one takeaway we get from this, it's that access creates opportunities. So I'm not saying don't ever trust an instructor. I'm saying always take it with an ounce of caution. With prevention, it's a mindset. If you have experiences that you'd like to share, leave them below in the comments. Let me know what your experiences have been like. Peace.